おはようございます。はじめまして。私はヘのグラントです。これは30の前に30あります。よろしくお願いします。Today's 30 before 30 topic is you should have learned another language by the time you turn 30. This one is something that, while I agree with, I have found very difficult in practice. I actually come from a semi-bilingual background. My father is Finnish Australian and used to speak fluent Finnish. I doubt very strongly that he does now. I wish growing up that my sister and I had tried to learn more Finnish from my dad and his side of the family. I wish that it's something that my parents had really pushed my sister and I to learn. But I completely understand why they didn't, given that Finnish is such a difficult language to learn in and of itself. As I am getting older though, I do realise that being bilingual or trilingual or morelingual is actually a really important thing in our world, and knowing another language is a skill for life. And if I could go back and speak to my younger self, one of the first things that I would say to them is learn another language. And it would be specifically learn Japanese, and start learning Japanese now. Don't leave it until you're 29 and you've been to Japan twice and are completely unable to speak the language and realise that you want to live there, and learning the language would probably be useful. So today I thought I would just share with you some of the tips that I've picked up Googling or from people who happen to speak other languages on how to get yourself learning another language better and faster. The first tip is to stop thinking about it and start actually doing it. I've been talking about learning Japanese for years, and this year is the first year I actually took the step and did it, and signed up for a late night learning class at a local university here in Canberra. So it's a class that I attend once a week. There's a textbook with it, which is really useful. I go there once a week for 2 hours and in a classroom environment learn Japanese. For me personally, that's really important because I'm not disciplined to self-learn. So having that classroom environment to begin with, I think, is really important. And if you're like me, I think it is the key to getting yourself on the track to learning a language. The second tip actually comes from my mother, who is a teacher and who works specifically with older students who had severe learning disabilities. And the way that she would help them to learn to read would be through children's books. And I'm not talking about young adult novels, I'm talking about books aimed at toddlers. So these two books are from a series about this chicken named Pio-chan. These books are aimed at the 2 to 4 age bracket, I would say. They are incredibly simple. They're all in hiragana, which is the first Japanese alphabet of 3. And it's just really easy for me to read these books and actually get the narrative out of them. If I was reading something more difficult, there's no way I could do it. And for a start, these don't have any kanji in them at all, so they're brilliant. So buying children's books is a key way to get yourself reading faster and to actually see the connections and patterns in the language. Measuring your progress in learning another language is really important to keep you motivated, and the way that I personally did that was I was shopping in an Asian grocery store and I picked up a Japanese product, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was able to actually read the label. This is the product in question. It is a packet of seaweed stock, and on the front here it says kombu dashi. I read that as kombu dashi and knew instantly what it was, picked it up and bought it. It wasn't until I actually got into my car that I realised, hang on a moment, there's actually no English on the front of this packet at all, except for a little bit here which says JAS, but this is all in hiragana, and I read it and knew what it was. So that was a little moment for me to go, hey, this is actually happening. I'm learning the language. And that was so important to keep me motivated to keep learning the language. So those were the hints and tips that were helping me currently to learn Japanese. Hope you found them in some way useful. If you are learning Japanese yourself, I suggest checking out YouTube because there are literally hundreds of channels on here about how to learn Japanese with their own very useful tips, and they're just really great to watch. Obviously, I uphold this week's 30 before 30. I really do think you should learn a language before you turn 30. Learn it before you turn 20. If you're young, start now. Don't put it off. It's really important to pick it up when you're younger, and I'm obviously regretting not having done so myself. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. It would mean a lot to me. And if you're learning a language yourself and you have other tips, please leave them in the comment section below. I'd really love to hear from you. You can also check out my blog and Instagram, both of which are linked in the information box just down here. And until next week, bye!